Moving on to item number 7, OCP amendment. Rezoning application Co-op Market proposal of West Saanich Road. County Director, Your Worship. Ms. Byrne?
Thank you, Your Worship. My report commences on page 72 of your agenda. This is for the official community plan amendment and rezoning application for the Co-op Market proposal on West Saanich Road. We have a couple of the renderings up on the board there. Council has seen this in a meeting, and that you received the application for information, but no motions were passed, and this was forwarded to staff. From a staff perspective, we have outlined what we feel are the required processes that this application must follow. And because this is relatively unique in that we feel that both an official community plan amendment is required and a regional context statement amendment within our OCP, and possibly regional growth strategy amendments as well in order to extend the urban containment area and what's called the RUC spot, which is the regional growth strategy, growth boundary servicing. We therefore feel that we should provide you with advice on how this application is to proceed. Firstly, Council cannot adopt a zoning amendment for this proposal without amending the OCP, since such a zoning amendment would be inconsistent with the present rural designation of the land. And I should point out that this application is for Lot 9, the south portion of lots 11 and 13, and we've provided that in form of a map attached to the report to show exactly where that site is laid out. The district cannot adopt an official community plan amendment for this proposal without amending the official community plan's regional context statement. And the regional context statement is the policy within the OCP that then must be accepted by the regional board to indicate how it reflects what the regional growth strategy sets out. The district council cannot adopt a bylaw amending its RCS without the amended RCS being accepted by the board of the Capital Regional District. The board may require, before accepting the amended RCS, that in fact the regional growth strategy itself be amended either through the special and regional board voting process as outlined in the Local Government Act. We feel that, in staff's opinion, this proposal is contrary to many of the objectives and policies that are adopted in the Official Community Plan Bylaw 1600 that usually guide district decisions on land use. We've attached several of the excerpts from the OCP that we feel this development would not adhere to. Council can decide if amendments are to be considered, but this will entail not only designated land use policies, in other words, changing the rural to commercial, but also actual policies within the official community plan itself to be changed. We're outlining some options about how this proposal could be dealt with. Option 1, and there may be others, these are the 4 that staff have reviewed. Council may wish to consider its OCP bylaw, including the regional context statement, in order to accommodate this process, to proceed through the public process. If so instructed, propose amendments to both the language of the regional context statement and the official community plan, policies and land use designations, including making a development permit area, could be crafted. We also feel a new zoning category would have to be drafted to accommodate this proposal. These amendments could be considered through the usual process, review a staff report, send it to the Advisory Planning Commission, send it to all the staff for the comments and requirements, prepare a report to Planning and Development Committee subsequent to Council. Council would authorize the bylaws to be prepared and referred for first and second reading. Option 2, refer the details of the proposal as now submitted to the CRD at first reading. In other words, before sending it all the way through the third reading and holding a public hearing, have the bylaws prepared, but look at referring it when Council has considered, in other words, given careful consideration, giving first reading to these bylaws, then refer it to the CRD board for comment. Option 3, Council could refer the application at this time without any of that process having started, just indicating that yes, bylaw amendments are required, and send it to the CRD. Are they concurring with the process design? as lined out? And are they prepared to make comments at this juncture whether in fact they prefer or not that an OCP, RCS, and RGS amendments are all required? Option 4 is request that staff not process the application further at this time, defer or reject the application as submitted. So, Your Worship, this is a significant development application with major land use designation implications. This would be establishing a new urban settlement area outside of our presently serviced and identified urban areas, and we feel that must be given careful consideration. We're looking now to Council to provide us with direction on which of the options as we presented should be considered or other options which we
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Councilor Hewitt and then Councilor Garrison in that order.
Yes, Your Worship. For the purposes of discussion, I'd like to move option number 1 and move that we proceed through the usual process to third reading prior to sending it to the CRD, and then send it at that time, and then I'll comment if there's a secondary.
Also, I think the discussion.
Any discussion, Councilor Hewitt?
Your Worship, I think that at this time, these decisions are made in Central Saanich decisions, not a CRD decision, and I think that by having staff go through the review, having the APC comment on it, have a staff report, and if we get to that situation going to the necessary public hearing, we'll be in a much better position to go to the CRD. Plus, I think that if you take a look from the CRD's point of view, they would want us to do that. I think anything less would be shirking our responsibility to take a look at the proposal.
Thank you. Councilor Samantha?
Thank you. I was thinking how to move this sort of forward in the sense of process, because we're not making it's the process we're discussing here more so than what the decisions are going to be made at the various processes. And I think having been at the CRD with respect to another application that was related to the growth strategy, I think that you really have to go to the CRD with a decision that the council is making. Assuming council approves it, then you're sending it to the CRD with a decision that the council has made. So this, I think option 1 is probably the best way to go, because at that stage of the game, it'll either be approved by this council or it won't be approved by this council. And if it's not approved by this council, then the CRD is irrelevant. If it's approved by this council, at least it puts the CRD on notice that this council has decided to move forward with a certain application. So I think from my perspective, although it's a longer process, I think it's an appropriate process to allow us to hear from the public at our level, from our citizens, and make a decision one way or the other. So I would concur with the option 1.
Councilor Samantha?
I'll also agree to option 1. I think it's important to go through the steps within our community and then hear from the citizens on what they want, and then make the decision and then put it to the CRD. So it's a unified front if it passes, and if it doesn't pass, then it never goes to the CRD and it's at a new point. But I think that the CRD has to have direction from our municipality, both from the citizens and the elected officials, to make sure that it's all in line and to help them make their decision, not just based on arbitrary decisions.
Any further discussion? Councilor Mason?
Yeah, I am concerned with going with option 1. I appreciate the vital role that plays in our economy and the community, but I am having a problem supporting this application, which will create a 4th commercial retail area. And what is missing for me right now is how much actual public support there is for this, and just I hate to see us going through another divisive, terrible application. And I'm wondering if through you, Mr. Mayor, to staff, is there any other alternatives to getting public opinion on this? If say we went with option 2, Could we have a public meeting? Does it have to go to public hearing? I'm really concerned about that.
Your Worship, as I said, we set out 4 options that are available. Usually a developer is encouraged to hold a public meeting. I know the co-op has held a public meeting to discuss the options. Council were invited and there wasn't a council-sponsored meeting. If council decides that they'd like to get into it, I think we would have to make it very clear, though, that it was an information meeting and there weren't going to be any decisions made at that meeting because you don't have bylaws to make decisions on it. So that is another option.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that would be a good way to go. Rather than wait for all the,
Any further discussion for
Yes, Your Worship, I just think that, to do that where we don't hear from the public after decisions are made or whatever else in terms of a public meeting, and the co-op has held information meetings, been very well publicized, especially lately. And so I think from that situation, the council needs to treat it as it does in other applications and go through the process, get the staff report, the APC comments, and get it all back prior to going to the CRD. If it goes to the CRD.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think that this application, while it is somewhat like other applications, it is somewhat different as well. I mean, it is requiring us considerable change to our official community plan for this to proceed. In fact, I would suggest likely a wholesale change to our official community plan. I think that it would be good for us to go to the CRD as we have agreed to with them, the regional growth strategy through our regional context statement. And I think that it would be a good opportunity for us in advance. I'm much more supportive of option 2, and therefore I'll not be supporting the motion as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
yeah, I get concerned because the last time we had an OCC review, we did take a motion at council for this to be looked at, and the co-op came forward, they wrote a letter, and that motion failed. And I would hate to see us go all the way down that road and leave waste a lot of staff time if we're not going to have the public support and the CRD support. So I would concur with Councilor Wilson that option 2 probably with a public meeting would be a good way to go.
No, I don't support option 1.
Yes, a member of the council are asking the co-op to host another public meeting, is that correct?
No, with respect to the motion, Mr. Mayor, on the table, that's not good.
Any further discussion? Maybe I will have to put my 2 bits more. It's on the table. I think it's going to be a close vote. I have some problems with it as well, partly because of the process it takes. We are making wholesale changes in that area. And then I said that, I looked at it in another direction again, and I said that the majority of the members, or the majority of the households in Central Saanich are co-op members. And then I gathered that out of that number of households in Central Saanich that are members, it equates to about 72% of the total households that are members of co-op. So I think you have to look at, is it good for the members? It's good for the economics of the community. The pluses and minuses, and there's not always going to put it. It's a long ways from I think the decision making regardless of which way it goes. it gets turned down, and then it ends the story. But I mean, if we're going to send,